Welcome to the Animation Industry Podcast. My name is Terry, and I feel like I ran out of quippy intro lines a long time ago. So if anybody out there wants to start writing some for me, feel free to shoot them my way, and I'll use them in my next podcast. Today I'm interviewing Adam Rosenberg, who is a filmmaker, director, editor, and animator living in Colorado. He's directed and animated on music videos, commercials, and short films. In fact, his work has screened at nearly 100 animation festivals worldwide. You might have seen some of his work before, such as Bologna, where he laser cut frames into actual bologna and then stitched them together through the magic of pixelation, or his current project, which he's sharing on social media right now, and which also just might be, maybe in my opinion, but maybe actual fact, the most ambitious pixelation project in the whole world right now, and which we're going to talk extensively about in our chat, called Alphabetical Athleticalz. Now, before we dive in, this episode is sponsored by Hue, makers of colorful, affordable USB cameras and animation software for creative teaching, work, and play. Available from HueHD.com and Amazon, the new Hue HD Pro cameras feature 1080p image and video resolution, a built-in microphone, and LED lights. Their funky, flexible plug-and-play cameras are easy to use, and they are compatible with any apps that recognize USB cameras, including Discord, Dragonframe, OBS, Twitch, Google Meet, Zoom, and many more. Visit HueHD.com for more information and follow @HueCameras on Instagram or Twitter for news, freebies, and giveaways. And I've included all those links in the description of this chat, so please check that out. Now, without further ado, let's dive in. Hi, Adam. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, Terry. Not much is going on. I'm good.
I noticed your hair is a little longer, and after viewing your work, it seems like every time your hair gets long, you do something interesting with it. Like go out in public and ask people to cut off random pieces of your hair to give you a haircut, or do something stop motion. Do you have something planned?
No, this time I don't. But there's time. It's not long yet. It's in the in-between stage. So
I mean, for me, that's really long hair, but okay. All right. Okay. We'll look out for
yeah, it's not as long as it has been. And I never it was never like really preconceived any of I guess there's only really like two big projects. The first time I let a bunch of random people cut it in a public mall, however they wanted, just presented a bunch of tools and let them snip or buzz or whatever. And then the second time was that was definitely like a quarantine type project. Just seeing how many silly haircuts could get, like from long to bald, essentially.
Yeah.
Just so, because they're fun to wear, but you don't want to wear them that long. So I'd wear each one for a few days and then just like trim it all the way down. Got like
you did a few days with each one. I thought you just like did it all in one set, so you could do that whole like your face going from here to here, stop motion or pixelation style.
No, I wore them around a little bit.
Impressed.
I mean, it wasn't much around to wear them, but and then it's just like, I don't know, it just takes time and wears me out. And my wife was cutting my hair, and then like get razor burn and stuff, and just need a couple of days to breathe, let your skin breathe in between. And
I feel you. So okay, let's chat about what you do. Can you just tell me what you do, because I feel like you are this like mixed media, experimentally like professional artist? I don't know, tell me.
I go with filmmaker.
Okay.
If there's a term, just the kind of umbrella term that works for everything. But I just say like I like to make stuff, and generally video and film related, but it's mostly, or director is a good one, kind of broadly, but it's a lot of live action film, digital animation, motion graphics, and then lately a lot of stop motion animation, pixelation, but then I also do like production design.
So do you work full time at a studio?
Here.
Your own studio then?
I'm freelance from home.
Okay. So how did you get into that in the first place? Like, did you study film and then say, brands, I'm ready. Like,
Yeah, I did go to school for it. I studied video and animation. The program is called kinetic imaging, which makes sense if you think about it because it's all just like moving imagery, but
sounds
like
like a terrible name.
yeah, it takes explaining. So I say video and animation, and then there's video animation and sound was kind of the program. This was in Virginia at Virginia Commonwealth University. I love the program. It's super fun, and it was kind of just like showing you tools and artists, and all right, go make stuff. It was like very like individual and art based. They let you take it kind of, just play to your strengths and explore and grow. So yeah, studied that in school, graduated, and then was like, had the classic post-graduation existential crisis, like what the hell am I doing? I don't know what I want to do really. I think I like editing, but I don't know how to get a job, and just kind of started cold calling. I mean, super cold calling places, and lucked out big time. I emailed some production company asking like, hey, if you need help, like I can help with stuff. And that company was like extinct, but they reached out like, hey, I no longer work there. The company went out of business, but now I work here at this like much cooler, awesome advertising agency right in my hometown. They're like, we'd love to talk to you about a position. Oh, wow. And yeah, went and I got the job there. So started as an assistant video editor at a advertising agency.
Okay, question for you. That's amazing. But also, how much did your schooling, like if you were looking back, do you think you needed schooling to end up at that agency? Or could you just have like, done some experimental film on your own and called them up and been like, hey, I'm a really keen person when it comes to this stuff. Can I have a position? Like, do you think they specifically took you because you had a degree and your degree taught you and gave you the skills you needed? Or do you think you could have skipped that and just jumped in with cold calling?
Yeah, it could have gone either way, but I think jobs do like a degree to some extent, and it made me feel like, okay, I'm not sure I know what I'm doing, but I have a degree, and that like I feel like that gives me permission to like put myself out there. You definitely like don't need it like 100%. I know, the no film school kind of philosophy is great, and you can learn so much and makes it things if you have drive and the willpower to do it. I'm not sure I had that at the time. So I really enjoyed school, and I love just being in an environment where it's just like you're just making stuff and everyone around you is making stuff, and you get hands-on learning, and you get to like critique stuff. Like critiquing things in a group was really helpful, both giving and receiving. So I really appreciated the school and the degree.
Nice.
Is it necessary? No.
Okay. I was just curious. Okay, so you're working professionally now as an editor. At what point did you decide that you could do things on your own?
So got that first job at an advertising agency. It was great. It was like, got professional experience as a great company, really enjoyed it. After like 2 years-ish, I was like, wow, this is great. Like I could kind of do this for the rest of my life and be kind of set. I was like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. Like I'm young. I want to like do stuff. I want to see the world. I've lived in Virginia my whole life. So that was kind of the big thing. Like I wanted to just like live a little. And I wanted to move. I wanted to be somewhere not Virginia, and therefore leave my job. Remote work wasn't a possibility. And I don't know, I wouldn't really want that. Like I wanted just to like shake things up. I was really comfortable, and I wanted to be uncomfortable a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Which is a fortunate position to be in. So I wanted to move somewhere, and for a number of reasons, Colorado was the place. And so I decided, I want to move. I'm going to leave my job.
I want to see the world, Colorado.
Yeah. And Colorado is pretty good. And then, but by that point I had like professional experience, and I had run into other freelancers that come and like contract through the agency. I'm like, oh, okay, people are doing this and they're working, doing gigs at the job I'm working at. So kind of just felt more confident with myself and saw that freelance was like feasible. As far as like how to start, I don't know, wasn't as sure, but I was like, all right, I'm just going to go for it, going to move and then like start working for myself. And it was definitely slow to start. And I kind of anticipated that. I had like a part-time job at a craft store.
Oh, that's like the perfect place to be for getting creative materials.
Yeah.
You're like spending your whole income. You're like making your wage and then just spending it all on their craft supplies. That would be me.
Yeah. That was a perk for sure. But
so how did you get your first client like on your own? Like,
yeah, first was a referral from a friend who went to the same school I did. She was busy and like didn't have time to just edit and said, hey, I'm busy, but Adam is great. I highly recommend him. And they're like, okay. And I did this edit with them and then they kind of kept coming back. Eventually my friend took a full-time job somewhere else and so had no freelance capabilities or availability. So I kind of, took over as their contractor.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that was huge. I still do work with them regularly for that company.
Oh, wow.
Yes, 7-8 years later.
That's incredible. That's such a great tie to have. So you worked on so many cool and interesting things over the years. What is your strategy for getting consistent work other than this one company that has stayed with you this whole time?
Yeah, just kind of, I guess, networking. I mean, there was, random Craigslist gigs searching around. And the cold calls to kind of build up a client base. But by now, the good work is really who I know.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like shaking someone's hand at a little networking meeting or like a local film festival, just like a brief interaction, like, oh, I remember that person. They were a real person. They were nice. But I also see their website. They do good works. Another person said they do good work. So I'm going to reach out to them.
Okay. So are you actively going to networking events with the purpose of networking, I guess?
No, I say networking event. I mean, nowadays I'm at the point where I don't have to ask for work. It comes to me, which is awesome.
How long did that take? Like how many years?
Maybe 5.
Wow.
Or 6. I mean, it's pretty recent. I mean, and even during the pandemic, I had a pretty big lull, as a lot of people did, I think. Yeah. But it's still not like infallible. There's still lulls occasionally. But yeah, earlier on, I guess, but a big thing was just like working with people on set. So, most of my work, my paid work is post-production, editing, and motion graphics. But then I was always making my own like kind of short films on the side and then meeting people that way that were working with me. And
I wanted to ask you about that because sorry. Because your films have played at dozens and dozens of festivals. Like how big of an impact has that had on you getting work?
I don't think, not as much as you would think. For a while, I was just like, I want those laurels, baby. I'm just like submitting to festivals, a lot of them kind of far away and I'm not able to go to them, and just crossing my fingers and waiting for an email or something and say, hey, you won something, congrats. But most of the time, I was just kind of getting the laurels. And then the festivals around here, most of them are either like kind of really high level, upper tier, and like low level. And so I haven't made a ton of connections through film festivals that have led to like paid work. I mean, there have been some, but was yeah, the festivals were not like really contributing much to work, I would say. I think it's more just like mutual connections of people that I've worked with. Yeah, I guess with on set, like that on set interaction
Yeah, that makes sense.
led to a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Because they like get super exposure to who you are and what kind of work you do, and then you're like top of mind for a project, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess like a lot of that on set exposure was stuff I was directing, so it was like my project. And so and then they see the final project like, oh wow, that short, that I helped with is like, I really like it.
And he's a nice guy.
And he's a nice guy. Yeah.
How do you, okay, so how do you get to produce all of these shorts? Like, where I'm super curious because the level of professionalism in them is like extremely quality. So I'm assuming there's some budget behind these because obviously you already said you're hiring people to work on these. So I'm assuming you have like two types of directing. One is like your commercial project work that you direct that brands hire you to do, and the other one is like your for fun, I guess.
Yeah,
Stuff.
totally. And for me, it's balancing the two in life is important, because the stuff that pays the bills is not as exciting as the stuff that I want to make myself.
Gotcha. So you pick up brand directing gigs through your network still? When somebody gets funding for a commercial project and they need a director, they contact you?
Yes, sometimes I haven't done a lot of paid directing gigs.
Okay.
Yeah, most of my paid stuff is a lot of post-production, a couple paid directing gigs, but not.
So then let's talk about your directing gigs when you're making your own short films, or like, you're making alphabetical athleticalz, alphabetical athleticalz. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
So tell me the story of how this project came to be, for instance, because this project is huge. There's tons of different people involved, and like, the art style, there's so many different like pieces to put together, and it's a large project. So did you pitch it somewhere and get funding? Is this like a grant? Is this your personal savings? I'm just super curious. And like, also,
yeah.
what is it that you're trying to accomplish with this project?
Yeah, with kind of all my personal work, they're like, it's all out of pocket.
So why are you doing this in the first place? Like, what is compelling you to say like, all right, I got some free time, I'm going to put all my resources and effort into this film idea I believe in?
Yeah, because I have to make stuff. I don't know. I guess as an artist, why does an artist? Oh God, that sounds so.
No, it sounds great.
Yeah, why does an artist make things? And I'm not sure a lot of people can answer that. And yeah, I'm just compelled to make things, and I've found I've really grown the most in making video type of things, and I always want to keep making things and keep improving and learning and making new and better things. And so I've done a lot of live action in the past, which has been great. And then actually an impetus, I really enjoyed animation, did a lot of motion graphics, did a little bit of stop motion like in college, but was a lot of live action for a while. And then the DP I worked with moved to LA to work there. And like he and I worked together on all my shorts and had a really good thing. And then, so that was, I mean, there was this idea of always wanting to like get into stop motion again. But then when he left, I was like, okay, this is like, it sucks. Like I love working with this guy, but this is kind of an opportunity, trying to see it as an opportunity to like do something new. It's like, okay, now's the time to like really dive into stop motion. And so like, I wanted to come up with an idea for a short film. And then, I don't know, was it kind of experimenting with pixelation because I don't consider myself a great stop motion animator. Motion graphics and kind of tweaking keyframes and stuff I can do. but I kind of had a thought that like, well, rather than working with like an armature, like everybody has an armature built into their own body.
Yeah.
Why, I should try to take advantage of that. And then it's live action, it's kind of, a realm that I'm familiar with and comfortable with. And was really experimenting with that and did some experiments that kind of showed promise. I'm like, okay, there's something here. I think I can do more with this. And then was just trying to come up with a concept for like a short film. And the alphabet is kind of like a framework, what was exciting. And then, applying a theme to that was like sports, because there's lots of movement and all these, it's pretty broad. And so kind of a sports themed pixelation alphabet short film.
Wow. So
yeah.
I think this is amazing. And also there's something that I'm super curious about from in your mind, because like for me because I love stop motion, and my immediate comfort level is to do everything myself. Like I want to build a puppet that I have in my mind, and I want to animate it how I'm animating. But like I've seen some of the behind the scenes of your stuff, and obviously there's like different people involved, but how big is the team of people that you're working with to make this happen?
It's pretty small, actually. I mean, kind of the consistent players are me and the director of photography. Everyone else is kind of, comes and goes, because again, there's no budget for this thing.
Right.
So
are the actors your like friends, or are you hiring actors and actresses? Like,
yeah, I'm hiring. There is, a lot of actors in Colorado that, there's commercial work, but there's not like a lot of fun stuff, not a lot of narrative, not a lot experimental, not a lot of like really fun stuff. And the stuff that there is generally not paying. Again, all the shorts I ever produced is like no budget or like super low budget. And that's just kind of how people make cool stuff, I guess, around here, or that's the only way I've ever been able to figure out how to do it. So actors want to do cool things, and, other crew and people they hear about this cool project. They see that like I have a track record of making interesting stuff. And so, they're willing to do, small things for free. The shoots are generally short.
Yeah. Like one repetitive action or something like that. But you've got a behind the scenes, I think it's on your website or Instagram or something, where you have like the screen overlay of how you want the person to be animated, and then like somebody holding that person up so they can be in this weird position while you take a still. Like it doesn't, like, maybe it's not like a 10-minute thing, it's actually like an afternoon thing for each person. Like it seems like a lot of time and a lot of coordination and a lot of people involved. Like, I don't know, from my perspective, it looks like a giant production, and I was like, oh dang, this has got money behind it. This is like this is what it feels like to me. But you're just telling me, you're like, oh, everything's for free. Just doing this much your time.
Yeah, I mean, I wish, and I'm still trying to figure out a way to like get some money behind it, because yes, it is, I guess the production triangle of like, you can either do it cheap, well, or quick, and you can only pick two. So this is it's extremely slow is what I'm trying to say. It looks good and it's damn cheap, but it's so slow. Just because it is free time. I don't have, I have small chunks of free time where I can do things. Everyone else is the same. I can't pay people to like commit to be at things. So a paid gig comes up, it's like, oh, sorry, I can't make it. It's like, all right, well, I guess we'll try down the road. And then, oh, this person isn't free. And then I'm working on a gig. So, of the 26 scenes for every letter of the alphabet, we've done 16 so far, just like in the can. Like a lot of those are still in post-production. And it's been 2.5 years.
Wow.
I think. And yeah, so probably another 2.5 or 3. I'm having my wife and I are having a baby at the end of the year. So that's a big project that's going to take up a lot of time.
You can animate that happening too. Like, why not? Pixelate, Pixelate the baby. Baby can be Zed.
Yeah, I plan on
you're like, I plan on taking full advantage of this new person in my life by incorporating them into my pixelation films. That is a crazy, incredible long-term goal. How does it feel to work full time and then all your spare time for like 5 or more years is taken up by this project that you envisioned years ago? Like, how does that feel? And how do you, I mean, I know what it's like once you're in the middle of things, you just keep going and going until it's done. But like, how are you pressing on?
Yeah. So at times it is depressing for sure. But what's nice about this project is there are 26 small chunks that are, kind of unique unto themselves.
Yeah.
And so, there are like pretty good milestones. Like, okay, we finished that scene. It's done. Look, there it is. It's cool. And, sometimes I'll post it on Instagram and that, like, people can get excited about that. I get excited about that. It's not like, this one long film that like doesn't see the light of day at all. Like, pieces are, totally done. And that gives me some satisfaction and some drive to keep going. And this is, every scene has unique challenges, and, I have to make strange rigs and devices to hold people up, and, compositing weird things. And so I love just like making things like that. And, so I can split up my time between like post-production or pre-production and like, making props or rigs and like, shooting. So there's a lot of variety in the project, which keeps me going.
Nice. What is success for you with this project? What is it that you, what result, or what is the feeling or result that you want to get out of creating and finishing this?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't given too much thought to it, but I think other than it just like being entertaining is I think like the technique of pixelation is kind of unexplored in a lot of ways. I mean, there are people that have done it and it's been, been done for a long time, but not a lot of people do it. And I think this is kind of pushing the boundaries of pixelation specifically. And I'd love to like, I think there's a lot of potential to like teach with it, use it as a teaching. Because again, like everyone has a human body. You don't need a puppet or, it's you're ready to go. And I think there are opportunities to like, so I think like it pushes the boundaries of pixelation, and then inspires people to do more pixelation. And then I could also, teach people how to do pixelation. I think like some workshops, there's potential there.
Oh, wow. Nice. Have you done workshops before on other skills that you've picked up?
No.
Okay. That's cool though. Because like, this is kind of now I'm a master at this, learn from me, because I don't know if anybody else is doing such a large scale pixelation projects right now. Usually people do very short things or like something for a commercial, not like a whole short film, really. I mean, I've seen a couple. Yeah. Are you gonna go do the festival circuit with it when it's done?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah. You're like, more laurels, please.
No, I want to push the hell out of it, and I love for this to lead to more pixelation work.
Yeah.
That's ideally has a budget, because that makes things run a little bit more smoothly and easily, quickly.
So are you hoping to go to brands and say like, here's what I can do for you in terms of like, I don't know, you go to Toyota and you're like, we can make a car commercial with this person dancing around the car like this or something? Or are you hoping to go to like grants and things to make more short films like this in the future?
That too. The grants I haven't thought about as much, just because I don't know that world as well. But I know, I see the possibilities for commercial work for sure. But I'd love to keep making personal shorts as well with grants. That'd be great. I am already working on a pixelation my first paid pixelation project.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yes, kind of in pre-production now, but it's for just a Kickstarter product. someone local heard about me and was looking for stop motion animation, and then, saw the pixelation stuff. Like, oh, that's even cooler. Like, we want that. And yeah, it's super low budget, but yeah, it's a paid pixelation gig.
That's great.
So it's already kind of, led to more work, even though the film itself isn't done.
Nice. I want to backtrack a bit because I wanted to ask you and I forgot to. Can you just like explain some of these crazy rigs you have people set up to get them to stay in position? Because I just think it's hilarious. And I want to hear about like the craziest thing you've made somebody do.
Yeah. So, if you want to see it, I think there's some on my Instagram that a visual explainer is super helpful, but to explain stuff verbally, for instance, we just recently shot a scene called Human Hula Hooping. The sport is human hula hooping, and it's a guy hula hooping a hoop made out of people, and it's 3 people kind of arching their backs and hands holding feet in a circle. And so, we shot them separately. The guy hula hooping nothing, and then the hula hooping spinning on the ground, and to kind of get the oscillation of the hoop, had to build like a circle of wood that was at an angle. And so they would kind of lie down on it, and we'd spin, take a photo and spin it. I think like there's like a 16 frame loop.
Goodness.
So they're lying down and arching their back. And then we've tried things with like pulleys and harnesses to literally puppet people, like a marionette for, kind of gravity defying scenes. A lot of apple boxes propped under feet and things like that. Are just boards behind someone to slowly lower them to the ground.
Where are you getting all this equipment from? Like, Sorry?
I'm building it.
You're building it. And where's the studio? Is it still your house? Like the green screen?
Oh, yes. So the photo studio belongs to the director of photography. It is his studio. And he's letting, he's letting the project be at the studio for free, which is a huge resource. Oh, yeah. But I've worked with him a bunch. He's a cool guy. He likes the project. He's really into photography as well as video, and so like stop motion is like, he's all in.
Nice.
Having a studio space is huge. Like that is really valuable to this.
How are you building pulleys to like support a human?
Yeah,
I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah, so we actually that was an experimental method that we actually nixed. We tested it out, and there's some potential there. There's like a big metal I-beam running across the studio. Okay. And so just like attaching a pulley to that with a rope with someone with a harness.
You're like, please sign this waiver first.
Yeah, it didn't quite work, but I was able to animate myself doing a flip with kind of 2 ropes to a harness, like a harness around the hips, and then 2 ropes coming from my hips to that I-beam, and kind of spinning between those 2 ropes.
Wow.
Because there is a scene that involves front flips, and I wanted to see if it's like even possible to kind of.
So when you're like drafting these ideas, you're just like, I want to do whatever I think is cool, and then figure it out later, basically.
To an extent, some of them are like, oh, that's so awesome, but I have no idea like how we're going to do it. And some of them, like, I'll like, okay, I'm going to just leave that. I'm going to shoot some stuff, maybe figure it out. And there have been things where like I didn't know initially how I was going to shoot it, and then along the way, I kind of gain an understanding, learn a new technique. I'm like, oh, I think I see it now. I see it's feasible.
Wow.
And like, so this project has been like an amazing tool to like learn pixelation, because the first scene really didn't know what I was doing. And it kind of didn't work, and had to do a bunch of like rotoscoping to save it. And then gradually, we learn more and more techniques and figure things out and see more possibilities. So it's been a great learning tool.
Wow. That sounds really cool, actually. And it definitely sounds like you're going to have a great workshop at the end of this. Be like, here's how you flip a human being in slow time. So you're working mostly as an editor. Are you trying to slowly move over to this director kind of animator role full time?
I think, if it would have to be after the completion of Alphabetical Athleticals of the
Yeah.
film. I mean, there is, just showing like scenes, and, like I said, I have this pixelation project, a commercial pixelation project right now. I would love to kind of transition to that, doing that full time, for money. But I don't know if that's like a really hard goal at this. I still enjoyed like editing and the motion graphics and things like that.
So then what like thinking about, you're having a kid, you're going to finish up this project, like thinking about like, what is the ultimate thing you're working towards with this creative kind of independent career that would be amazing? Like imagine you're getting paid to do whatever, like what is that thing?
Yeah, and I never think that far down the road. I guess like the long term is like always growing, learning, trying new things, improving. That's their trajectory. Specifically what that looks like, generally I talked about like a balance of like paid commercial work and like my personal fun work. I'd love like the personal fun work to like be doing more of that and less of kind of the boring stuff, or have them kind of merge, I guess is more the idea. Like the fun, cool stuff is actually making, being paid for. So I guess that's a good goal. And that does look like pixelation these days. I've done a lot of like, directing live action and things like that, and a little bit of production design and things, but it doesn't seem, I don't see that really becoming my thing. And so, yeah, this project and like pixelation was like, okay, wow, this is unique. This is special. I want this to be my thing. And so I'm going to push really hard for this. And I want this to like, kind of be my thing.
I love that. Are there other people exploring pixelation to the extent that you've come across right now?
I can think of one.
So what I'm asking you is, are you the master forefront runner of pixelation in the world as we speak?
Wow, that's bold. Maybe the forefront of like experimental pixelation, because I've seen people doing pixelation and it's like really cool, and like they do fun tricks and it's really fluid. And again, like we're kind of like, the way we're pixelating is a lot of it is replicating reality.
Yeah.
I'm pushing for more like, kind of fluidity and, kind of bending and a little bit more cartoonish or animated look. And we use a ton of guides. So I kind of feel like I'm a very rigid animator. I've seen people that do, they can kind of improvise. Like I'm envious of, people that can take a armature and kind of like look at a reference video and then, animate that and just kind of go from their head. I use guides for everything. Yeah. So I think I have a lot of room to improve for like kind of, animating without heavy use of guides.
Just don't use a guide for your next whatever letter you're on. T for whatever. How expensive, I know that you're doing this for cheap, but compared to live action or 2D or stop motion, how expensive is pixelation? Is it just because I'm wondering, like, why don't more studios and whatever and take advantage of pixelation if it ends up being like this very cheap, quick medium, or is it actually like way more expensive in the long run?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It is, yes, I am doing it for cheap, but time is money and it's taking a long time. I haven't been keeping track of the hours I've put into this thing.
Don't.
Kind of off the charts. So, if I was being paid an hourly wage for this, it would not be cheap.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if it's, I don't think it's cheap.
Okay.
If you were to do it kind of like a full,
maybe because you have to pay for all the different actors and their time versus like an armature you can build and just have one person involved. I don't know. Like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Might be
I'm not sure.
interesting.
I haven't really thought about what an actual budget would be and how to kind of do it efficiently. But my thought is you don't see a lot of pixelation because it's time consuming and therefore expensive, but so is stop motion. But you don't see a ton of stop motion commercially, but I mean,
Yeah,
definitely more than pixelation at least.
totally. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, but then pixelation is also very difficult. So I don't know.
What is the most difficult thing? Is it making sure the person moves right, like because they can't see what they look like and you have to direct them and tell them like move your neck more left and they move it like down and then you're like no left and they're other left, like is it that kind of stuff?
Sure, we've run into that definitely, but it is, comparing a human body to an armature or a puppet, like you put a puppet in a pose, you turn off the lights, you come back tomorrow morning, it's going to be right where you left it. I mean, just
Yeah,
ask anyone, if you just like hold out your arms for 2 minutes and keep them totally straight, it's really hard. Everything gets tired. Every time I think like, okay, this will be an easy one to shoot, people are always sweating. Like it's a physical challenge
wow.
to
You should
control.
start a gym.
Yeah, there we go.
It's their workout and you make your short films.
Yeah,
and
it's very much like yoga
yeah,
or maybe Tai Chi. I don't know, but just like find muscle and body awareness and control with flexibility, but also strength. They're all, and just like, finally, like you're in this difficult pose and you're like, all right, elbow up, back, up, left, and now left hip backward. Okay. And lift your heel. And then they're like, and then they just collapse. Like, okay, I'm tired. You're like, okay, damn, we have to move quicker or do
yeah.
something different. So it's physically very challenging.
Wow, that's so many things I didn't think about because like I don't know, I've watched a whole bunch of stuff and I'm like, cool, this looks great, and the motion's so fluid and bouncy and exaggerated, and literally like the actor behind is like profusely sweating in each pose, being like, is this good enough? And you're like,
yeah, they're all physically difficult. Even the ones I think are going to be easy. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, these are all hard.
have you ever just given up on something because it ended up, the person was like, I can't do this extended for a period of time, like it's just not physically possible, or like I'm out? Like because you're also dealing with people's, like when I exercise I just get angry, I don't like exercising, and I'm like short with people, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. Do you, because
Yeah.
you're dealing with like all that stuff too, is it also, I don't even know what I'm asking, I'm just rambling now, but I'm just wondering if that's also a challenge.
Yeah. So I can think of one shoot where we had that, where it wasn't like, I mean, the actor is like, it's a person I've worked with a bunch. They're great. They're totally professional. They're like, they'll push, as long as you push them. But I could see like, damn, he's done. Like if we did another take, there's no way he could, do it as well as that one and get as close to kind of what we're going for.
It's like going to his
Okay, you know what?
physiotherapist afterwards.
Yeah, I hope not. But that one was like, damn, okay, we pushed as hard as we can. That's good enough. And I believe
Yeah.
I can salvage this in post. And yeah, with a lot of rotoscoping and kind of, you can kind of puppet people, if you have a green screen and you cut them out, you can, if it's not, their body parts aren't quite where you want them,
Yeah.
you can kind of push them and pull them.
When you're saying rotoscoping, have you filmed the guide ahead of time, or have you animated it yourself using like a body rig, how you want it to be?
Yeah, so a lot of most of the time I try to use human reference, just like shooting a video whenever possible, but sometimes we're doing things that are physically can't be done. And so there have been a couple of times where I've gotten like a frame by frame animator to draw out kind of a stick figure and animate that and use that as our guide, which is awesome because you can really control and you can get a lot more, unless you have like a amazing control of your body to like move like a cartoon character and kind of like, wiggle and bend a certain way. It can be really hard to do just within a video, but you can do way more if someone draws something out beforehand. And I'd love to be able to do that more and even for every scene, just have that be our guide.
Yeah.
But that takes a lot of time, and yeah, I just haven't been able to really like find people that want to like do this thing for free, because it takes, and have the time to do it, I guess, is more important, because it's time consuming.
Totally. I'm curious, how long is the final film projected to be?
I think 7 or 8 minutes was what I calculated at one point years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I think 7 or 8 minutes.
I mean, to do a 7 or 8 minute film in stop motion would probably take, I would think, longer than, well, you said 5 years, I guess. I don't know, but that's incredible. I think that's
Yeah.
incredible. Like, that's super ambitious. You're like, not only am I going to pixelate somebody doing sports, I'm going to do it 26 different ways. Like,
Yeah, it was definitely, I, at the onset, knew it was a big undertaking,
yeah.
and it is. I still feel that way.
Yeah.
But now
Well,
we're in, and it's like, okay, it's like, oh, we're over halfway. Okay, we're over like 2/3, kind of.
yeah, that's
Seven,
really exciting. You only have 10,
7/16.
10
All right.
letters left to film.
Yeah.
So we chatted, how you got into this, how you've made a career out of this, and this super ambitious, really cool pixelation film that you've become the guru of pixelation in. Is there anything else interesting that you think would be cool to share, or like stories of how things happened or where things are headed or anything like that?
Um,
How about this? What has been the number one contributor to your success in just pursuing success, as in like maintaining a career as an independent animator for the past 8 years, and not having to say like, now I need a 9 to 5?
yeah. I think I think I can do it because I am kind of a jack of all trades. So I have like a commercially viable skill, which is editing
Yeah.
and motion graphics. I can do that well enough. People want it, people pay for it. That's good. And then, the creative stuff, the short films, the pixelation, the stop motion, I haven't found a way to make money off of that, but I balance it with this work that people want, which is post-production, editing, motion graphics. So for me, a balance between stuff that pays the bills and stuff that helps you grow as an artist. So I think I would advocate for that for any young, aspiring
Yeah.
makers of any sort, finding a balance between work and play, and just trying to play and really grow.
Do you think it takes some courage to pursue this as well?
For sure. Yeah, courage. I mean, it's scary, like making something, working your ass off, and then like showing it, and are people gonna like it? I don't know. I've done stuff. I've definitely had films or projects that I'm like, guys, what? And they're like, okay, yeah, that's
We're your
something.
friends still.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe not that way. Let's try something else. But then, you can't just try to satisfy other people.
Yeah, like what's the
So
point of doing it if you're not satisfying yourself at the end of the day too?
Yeah. So there is a balance as well between, satisfying yourself and satisfying others.
Yeah.
I think that goes for everyone. There might be some people who say like, I only create work for myself.
Yeah.
And I don't think there are a lot of people like that. I think, especially with, film related stuff, they're perfect for showing other people, and like watching them, sitting down and watching them, like watching something like at a film festival and an actual theater where like with an audience, and you hear them laugh and like react, is such like, feels so good when you've worked so hard on something, to watch it like in a theater with people.
Yeah.
That's really gratifying.
Yeah, I think there's something just inherent about animation being a storytelling medium, that it's almost like you're forcing yourself to share. Because like, I know people who sketch in a doodle book or just write poetry and never share it and don't ever want to share, and they do it for themselves. But like animation takes so much ridiculous effort and different skills that it's like, Oh yeah, I produced a 10-minute pixelation film involving actors and other people. I'm not going to show to anybody. It's going to live in my home vault. Like I can't even imagine somebody.
Yeah, yeah, and then also because it's such a a team,
I'm sure everybody's especially the actors. I'm sure they're
effort.
super excited to see what they look like.
Yeah, yeah. I dream of showing this in a small theater with like just the cast and crew, which would be a
Yeah, it would
significant
probably
size
be a
audience.
time.
That's going to be really fun. So I fantasize about that from time to time.
Nice, yeah. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to share as we're kind of wrapping up our chat?
No, I don't think so. Well, I guess I'd love to put out the call for any animators or
I was actually
possibly.
gonna say I'd love to animate one of these guides for you somewhere along the line if that's what you're
Oh
about to
yeah,
ask.
absolutely. No, yeah.
Let's do it. I'd love to.
I would love that. That would be so cool. Yeah, because that's something that I think will really like push this project to be even better. And like, I would love this to be more of a collaborative project. I do a lot of it, but I'd love to do it to be more collaborative. And I think it's really cool to like have hand-drawn animator or digital animator or a stop motion animator like animate a guide and then like have them, and then they pass it on, and then I translate it to Pixilation. They're like, look, you made this person move. I just like, you did the work.
Yeah.
I
No,
just
it
like
sounds
shot
so
it.
cool.
And that's like a cool filter to to put on your animation. So I'd love to get more collaborators, whether it's an animator or even like compositors. Yeah, just anyone who would like to be involved in the project, reach out, or just just follow on the socials and things like that. But yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast, Adam. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear how you're making things happen. It's been super enlightening for me just to imagine all these processes you're going through.
Sweet. Thanks, Terry. And oh yeah, I guess the socials, Instagram handle is Mr. Adam Rosenberg. So mr.adam.rosenberg. That's also my website. If you want to follow me, on either of those places.
Of course, if you're listening, exactly what Adam just said, and you want to get in, if you're listening, you should immediately just go to his Instagram and watch some of these Alphabetical Athleticalz, because the imagery just speaks for itself, and you'll probably just be like, I want to work on this now. So if you're listening and you want to help Adam out, get in touch with him by following him and reaching out to him on Instagram or his website, and they're both Mr. Adam Rosenberg. And I'll include those links in the description of this chat. And that's all for now. So thank you so much for listening. And that's all for now. Okay, bye. The music for this podcast was composed by Will Farmer and the graphics by Daniel Abensauer. I encourage you to look them up if you enjoyed their work.